Doesn't matter what episode it is, lad. Let's just start now. I'm recording. What's happening, people?
Happening.
It's episode. We don't know what episode because we haven't been very consistent with this at all.
It's an episode.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere in the region of 14 to 16, I think.
Yeah, I think it might be, mightn't it? It's cool.
Somewhere in the region of that. You'll see it on the title anyway. Today we're talking about diet breaks, and neither of us have got coffee because it's 8:30 in the evening.
Yeah, and we're smart.
We're smart. We want to promote a parasympathetic state before bed. As anyone who's watching it can see, I've got me blue light blockers on. Jack doesn't because he doesn't care about his sleep.
I've got the lights on. I've got F-Lux on my screen. For anyone who's using a Mac, puts a red filter on your screen. It's not as good as the glasses, but it's a step in the right direction.
It is. It is.
Plus, I sleep like a log anyway, so
we're all good. Right. So, due to popular demand, we decided to do an episode on diet breaks. So, we're going to talk about what is a diet break, why would you ever use one, and then talk about when you would implement one and what signs to look out for. So, Jack, what is a diet break?
Exactly what it says on the tin. It's a break in your diet.
Yes.
Simplest way of putting it. It's essentially that. We're just breaking a dieting phase. In the new sense of the word diet. I don't like the word diet because your diet is everything you eat all the time. But in the sense,
being man there.
Yeah. Should we wait until he's
wait till he fucks off? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, a break in a low calorie period.
Yes.
There we go.
The technical term, intermittent energy restriction.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a lovely phrase, that, isn't it?
Nice that.
Yeah, but it's basically just where you're dying for a bit, you have a break, and then you carry on. And so I think a lot of people hear about a diet break and they just think, oh, shut up, just fucking get on with it, you pussy. But there are actual, real benefits to it. So there's both physiological benefits and psychological benefits, which I think are both equal in weighting. They're both very useful in certain situations. But first, before we start talking about why you would use one, I think it would be worth addressing just the negatives and the downfalls of just constant energy restriction. So people have got a bit of an understanding about what we're trying to fix and what we're trying to get away from. So when you're dieting, you're effectively starving yourself. And so you're giving your body information that it's starving, and so it will down-regulate how many calories you burn through the day. So it's very clear through the science that when you're dieting for a prolonged period, resting metabolic rate will come down. So that is your BMR and sort of, do you know what I've noticed as well, Jack? Bit of a side note. A lot of people don't know what BMR is, like fitness professionals. Like in the last week, so many people have got it wrong. Like BMR.
I've seen it a few times, like just completely miles away from what your BMR is.
Yeah, people think that BMR is how much energy you burn at rest, which is your resting metabolic rate. That's RMR. BMR is how many you need to just literally be alive, so to breathe, for your heart to pump, for you to send nutrients in and out of cells. So BMR, that actually comes down. Your resting metabolic rate comes down as well because you stop fidgeting, you stop speaking, you start speaking a little bit slower, you'll blink a little bit slower, and just move around in general a little bit slower, and your NEAT as well. So NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is again things like walking around, like taking the stairs, like little tiny things like you won't get up and get the remote for the TV. All of those things will start happening because your body thinks it's starving and it wants to conserve as much energy as it can. And at that point, when your body starts making all these changes, you are then burning less calories. So when you're dieting, the calorie deficit that you created initially, maybe on 2,000 calories, you were losing weight. And then slowly, your body is now burning well less than it was originally. And so you actually need to reduce your your energy intake to continue losing fat at the same rate. So if you're consistently just in a constant or a consistent calorie deficit for such a long period, your energy expenditure will come down to the point where you have to keep bringing your calories down, and then it gets stupid because you can be ridiculously low.
This is where the whole eating more. When you see people post on social media, I'm eating way more calories than I ever have and I've lost weight. This is because you've hit that. When people say they've hit a plateau and the calories haven't changed, it's all of these factors adding together. Is the reason why. The biggest notable one for me, because I twitch loads, probably because I get anxiety and I drink loads of caffeine. But yeah, I like when the food is low, when I'm knackered, I'm just a vegetable. Once I sit down, I'm a vegetable and I don't move. Whereas now, my feet are twitching. I'll be playing with the pen and stuff. All them little things. It's crazy. They all add up.
It all adds up. And then as well, forgetting that when you actually do lose weight, there's less of your body. So your body requires less energy to be alive, just because there's less mass, there's less energy that's needed to move you around to do all of the normal shit. So that happens. You lose muscle mass, you lose bone mass, all of those metabolic cells that are actually using energy. There's less of them. So that is an issue. Thermic effect of food as well, which everyone always forgets about when you're dieting. That goes down immediately because the energy that it takes to digest food. Sorry, go on.
Been an interesting graph-based statistic
Oof.
on like your total calorie expenditure for the day and your TEF, so your thermic effect of food.
Should we define that for people?
Yeah. So that is the calories you use to digest food. So your body has to actually use calories to digest food. Your stomach has got muscles in it that contract and relaxing, trying to break the food up, move it to your digestive system. You're creating enzymes. You're breaking the food down as you're chewing. All of this stuff burns calories. And then depending on what type of food it is, so what macros it is, will also impact how many calories it takes to digest it and take those nutrients to wherever they need to go in the body. Where was I going with that? Yeah. So your TEF is about the same as the exercise calories.
That's everywhere.
You burn. So if you were to do, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers of how long they were exercising, to produce the graph or how many calories they were consuming or the makeup of the calories, but they're there or thereabout. Exactly the same. So when people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to do so many hours of exercise to burn off that Kit Kat," it's like you're just banging your head against the brick wall. Like you're not burning anywhere near enough calories through exercise.
Exercise is just not the answer for calorie deficits.
No,
at all. It's like that everyone gets that backwards. Where were we? We're talking about the
TEF, talking about
TEF.
all the things that make up your calories for the day, and we were talking about why it's bad to not diet break.
So to make it dead simple for people, that was quite scientific that way, innit? If you're eating, let's say 2,000 calories, and every day you're burning 2,500, over time, if you just consistently diet, that might come down to 2,000. You're burning 2,000 and you're now eating 2,000, so you're at maintenance and you're no longer losing weight. So either you need to start eating less food or you need to start moving more, and that's when people hit plateaus. But when you get to the point where your food is so low, you can't drive it down anymore and you can't really do any more activity, that's when you're fucked, because you'll start to run into micronutrient deficiencies because your food is that low. And also training will be shit because you're overtraining and you can't recover, and then your body composition's going nowhere and your life's just going to be a bit shit in general. So that is when you would stick in a diet break, or even in that situation a reverse diet could be more appropriate. But that's
I'd almost say if you get to that point, in a diet, it's too late. It's not too late. You can reverse it,
Yeah.
but you should have took action a lot sooner.
Yeah, so a reverse diet would be implemented then. A diet break is what you would do when you're clever and you don't want to get to that point, and you start implementing them. What's the word? Proactively, months in advance before that happens. So, a diet break. I think, have you heard of the Matador study, Jack?
Yes, Lane talks about it all the time.
Yeah, he does. So we've got two to talk about, haven't we? So the Matador study was basically, I think it was done in 2018, and it was basically where they took obese people and they separated them into two groups, and they had one group dieted. I can't remember the energy restriction that they had. I think it was 30% or something. It was quite severe. And they just did that for 16 weeks straight, and then the other group dieted to the exact same calorie restriction. So whether it was 30% or not, whatever it was, but it's the same amount of calorie restriction. But every 2 weeks, they would take a 2 week break where they bring their calories back up to maintenance. So they ended up dieting for a total of 30 weeks instead of 16, but they effectively achieved the same calorie restriction over a longer period. And what was seen in the group that did the intermittent calorie restriction, so the group that had the diet breaks every 2 weeks, I can't remember the exact figures, but I think it was around about 50% more fat free, 50% more fat mass was lost, and loads of fat free mass, so meaning muscle and bone and organs, was maintained a lot more. And then in the 6 month follow up, they had kept off a lot more weight than the other group who had just dieted for 16 weeks straight. So it's fucking boss.
It works. The science says that it works. That's not the only study though that's
Yeah.
supported it.
So that's what the issue was in the fitness industry, when it was like that
Yeah.
was probably the biggest breakthrough one, but then it's an obese subject, so we can't really be applied to bodybuilders or people who aren't obese really. And then we were just talking about this before we came on, weren't we? They've done one in March this year. Bill Campbell and colleagues. So they did the same thing pretty much, but instead of a week-long diet break, do you want to explain it, Jack? They basically done it in resistance trained individuals who.
Yeah. I mean, you've just read it, so I'll let you go into it. Otherwise, I will murder the numbers. But essentially, they applied the same principle as the study on the obese population, or the obese individuals from the first 2018 study, to resistance trained individuals, and saw pretty similar results.
So
Support the same theory.
the difference with this one, I'm just going to read it off my monitor there. The difference with this one is it was 7 weeks long, and it was more of a refeed than like big long diet breaks. So they took one group and energy or restricted their calories by 25% from maintenance across a week. So from Monday to Sunday, every day for 7 weeks, calorie restriction of 25%. And then the other group, they energy restricted them of 35% from Monday to Friday, and on Saturday and Sunday brought them back up to maintenance. So they effectively give them a 2 day diet break every single weekend for the full 7 weeks. But obviously through the week, they were under greater calorie restriction. So the calorie intake across the week, or the calorie deficit achieved across the week, was equal in both. It's just that they had a diet break at the end of every single week. And if the numbers are mad, so the fat-free mass, so that means muscle and bone and shit and all of the stuff that your body needs, in the group that did the refeeds lost 0.4 kilos, and the control group, so the group that just dieted straight for 7 weeks, they lost 1.3 kilos. So almost 3 times the amount of muscle and bone and organ mass was lost. And the fat mass, where is that? The refeed group lost 2.8 kilos on average, and the control group lost 2.3. So the refeed group actually lost more fat mass and retained well more muscle tissue. And so that's obviously what we want. So again,
from a if your goal, and not very many people's is, if your goal is to just lose weight, you don't care where that weight comes from, you just want to be a smaller human, then yeah, just diet and it'll be grim and you can get it done in half the time. You could diet for 16 weeks and your weight will just continue to come down as long as all the factors are in place and you just remain in a deficit for 16 weeks, you will lose weight. And that's total weight from your body, muscle, organs, fat, and you will be a smaller human. But for 99% of the people that we work with, I'd say all of the people that we work with, they want to lose fat, but they want muscle underneath when they've finished the process.
Yeah.
So it makes it the only sensible option is to do what retains the most amount of muscle tissue through that process. It might be a longer process, but it's going to be easier mentally, and that's probably something we'll come on to in a minute anyway. But it's going to be easier, like on you, like on physique wise, you're going to have more tissue.
Exactly.
If you've got more tissue, you're going to retain your strength for longer, because that's one thing. Like your strength will hit a plateau in a cut. If you can maintain that strength, if you can continue getting stronger, which is like ideal situation, then why wouldn't you?
Exactly. This is what I was about to say. I prefer the way this study we just mentioned there with the refeeds of a weekend. It's much more applicable to real life people than the other one, because no one wants to diet for 30 weeks.
No.
Like, although it's fantastic, but no, like the results are great. Who the fuck's dieting for 30 weeks? What's that like?
Me.
Yeah.
Me on that last one.
7.5 months.
7 months.
Fuck that. Like, nah. Apart everyone but you, but
Everyone but this idiot here
no
doesn't want to do that.
no one else wants to do that, Jack.
I didn't even want to do it, but Rona hit and needs must.
Yeah. But this is much more applicable. I think I'm not against the longer diet breaks, but I think this is just something that's going to get the job done a bit quicker.
Yeah.
And it's almost something someone can enjoy, like working towards the weekend and having a nice controlled refeed where you get to eat a little bit more food. Also, what I think is even more applicable to the people we work with and just bodybuilding in general is if you every single weekend can have a big carbohydrate refeed, your glycogen stores are never getting depleted to the point where you're flat as fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you're doing a stupid calorie restriction through the week. Like, you're going to start every single week full pretty much, and training performance is going to go up, or it's going to stay elevated for longer. As you say, you'll probably be able to continue increasing strength, continue increasing performance in the gym. That's potentially why they see in a greater maintenance or less of a loss of muscle mass, because they were able to train harder and stimulate that muscle to stay.
If you get smart about when you apply it as well. So obviously, when you first read that, you initially think, well, 2 days back to back, right? Well, that's Saturday, Sunday. If you're looking into it a bit more and you're looking into the training side of stuff, and it is a physique-based cut, like it's a physique-based diet, it doesn't have to be Saturday and Sunday. So if you know whatever your training program is, like legs is always a big session. It needs a lot of fuel. If you've got legs on Tuesdays, if you were to put your diet break in on Monday, Tuesday, that Tuesday session is going to be fantastic. Every week. You're going to have Monday rest day, loads of calories. Tuesday, loads of calories, and you've got legs. You're going to feel that. Whereas if you don't and you just think, right, Saturday, Sunday, you could be doing legs on Wednesday, right in the middle of the week, nowhere near the food.
Yeah.
And then you're having to wait until Saturday and Sunday to get the calories back in.
Yeah.
So
Or
it doesn't have to be
yeah.
a weekend of it. You can put them wherever you want.
Yeah, you could
You know,
put them.
7 days.
You could put them if there's a body part you're trying to bring up, like if you're trying to bring up your chest or something, put it around the push session or
Yeah.
something like that. I think there's so much more flexibility with dieting than people are aware of.
I think one thing to note though is it, like, I don't know whether you mentioned it in the study, like it needs to be 2 days in a row.
Yeah,
That was
no. At least 2 days or more.
yeah.
One day you're just being a greedy cunt and you're doing nothing for yourself. You're just eating food and achieving no physiological benefit at all. You're just eating loads of food and fucking your results up. So if you're gonna do it, do 2 days or more.
So that's the science behind the why in terms of what it's doing physically. But why do we put one in mentally?
This I think is probably an even arguably more important aspect of it. Because
Yeah.
I think dieting, the success that you will see in a diet is largely psychological. Like if you can nail it psychologically and not succumb to the hunger and just be strong mentally, you will always succeed. Whereas a lot of people crumble when they get hungry or when they start feeling a bit tired, and this just completely removes that. I'm gonna let you go off on this, Jack, because
I
you like all
I
this.
think on this one, people who are a robot on a diet, and we come across this, I think, more than most people because we're in the industry and we see other coaches and we see people who fitness is what they do. I think if you're a robot and you can just follow a diet for 16, 18, 20 weeks, whatever it is, and you just follow the whatever the plan is that your coach gives you or that you set out for yourself, I would confidently say that pretty much everyone who can do that without a diet break has got a terrible relationship with food and just hides it really well. Like 100%. Like, and that's my honest opinion on it. I think dieting for such a long period of time mentally, if you're a competitive bodybuilder, whether it's professional or not, and you're constantly starving yourself, essentially, you haven't got a good relationship with food.
Mm.
Like, and if you have, fair play to you, like massive pat on the back, because the mental fortitude you need to do that over and over again and not fuck with your mental state around food is hard.
Mm.
So that is a massive one for me, that you need it in there to just switch off and enjoy more real, enjoyable food that isn't in the health bracket of food. Like,
Mm.
there are times, like, if you are getting really lean, there are things that you just can't eat because the calories just
Yeah.
don't make sense. Like, if you've only got 1,200 calories for the day, you're not going to eat a 450 calorie muffin from Costa. You're just not, because you're going to be hungry 20 minutes later and it's not going to work. If you've got a diet break on every Saturday and Sunday or every 2 days a week, you can have that muffin. You can have some chocolate. It might not be the most optimal food in terms of performance, but mentally, you're going to be fucking happy.
Mm.
You're going to eat that muffin and enjoy the muffin and not be scared of the muffin, not be
Yeah.
scared of whatever that food is.
It's almost like protecting your relationship with food before it goes.
Yeah. Like preempting.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing I do with everyone is I think I'm terrified of the thought of damaging someone's relationship with food.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm probably overprotective then when
Sometimes I go too far. Like if someone says, "Oh, I wanted biscuits today, but I didn't have them," I'm like, "No, go and fucking eat them right now.
Yeah.
Make them work into your calories, but go and eat them, just to make a point."
Oh my God, there was a cake in work today and I'm so glad I didn't eat it. go to Costco and buy a cake now. I want you to fit cake into your diet at some point this week.
Yeah. That's a real fear.
Yeah, a genuine fear, because I've seen it. I've seen people do it, and I've had clients come to me who've had it happen in the past, and it's probably my biggest fear as a coach, because people put that trust in you.
That's the only fear that I have ever had as a coach.
Yeah,
The only real fear ever.
That in terms of nutrition. Yeah, just like eat whatever you want.
Yeah, just make it work.
Make it work.
Like,
And
don't be an idiot and eat a cake and just don't count it. Like, eat your cake and make it work.
Because that won't work. But
that won't work for you, lad. But yeah, so you're protecting your relationship with food.
Protecting your relationship with food in any diet and phase, because it's really easy to fuck it up. Not like I don't know the numbers for how many people are affected by some form of eating disorder, like a clinical disorder. I can't imagine it is as high as we think it is, because we probably come across it quite more often than most people. But I think everyone at some point in their life will have a poor relationship with food. Not that it will get to the extreme of being a clinical like condition of an eating disorder, but I think doing this just protects you from developing a bad relationship, even in a small way.
Yeah, so like that's literally what I was about to say. So a bad relationship with food can be anorexia or bulimia, but it could also just be binging. Like, if you manage to just grit your teeth and get through a dieting phase, and then you finish, and then find yourself just nailing everything when you get home after you finish that diet, and you're just destroying the cupboards every single night, and you just can't stop yourself, that's a very real thing as well, because you've restricted yourself for so long. It's not necessarily an eating disorder per se, but it might just be you've been so restricted of these foods for so long, now you've almost give yourself the green light that you can eat these again. You'll just go and nail them, and that's when people put weight back on. I mean, there's some mad statistic BioLane always goes on about, whereas I think it's like 97% of people who diet like 6 months later are fatter than they were.
Not one of they always reference back to that Biggest Loser. Remember that was on the TV years ago? Like every single one of them regained that weight and more.
Yeah.
There isn't one person who's been on the Biggest Loser who's kept the weight off.
Yeah, it's just not the way to do it.
The way they approached it, though. I was going to say on that. Yeah, not only like binging is disordered eating, but even something that you mightn't feel is a poor relationship with food, feeling guilty about certain foods, that's a poor relationship with food.
Yeah.
So if you feel that, you have a poor relationship with food.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel guilty for putting food in your face hole. And if you do, something or someone in your past has told you that that is bad, or that food is bad, or that food in that situation is bad. So that we're trying to protect from that as well. To give you the understanding that once you know how to control your food, once you know how to plan your food, and once you understand what all food is, there is no bad food, and we can remove the guilt from foods so that you're not going into a dieting phase, removing certain food groups, certain foods out of it. We can put them in. If the calories are really low, by putting a diet break in, by giving you 2 days at maintenance every week, that could be the days where we put those foods in that you associate with being bad foods. I'll even go to I've even been to the extreme of with a client before who did feel really guilty about certain foods that she thought was bad. So what I did was kept her in a deficit all week, but a one nutrition goal for the week was one, write me a list of all the foods that she deemed as bad. So I just said, sit down, pen and paper, write as many foods as you can think of that you think are bad foods. She was like, right, okay, went away and done it, come back. I was like, right, okay, see that list of foods there? I want you to put one of them in your diet every day this week. Stay within your calories, eat one of them every day. She faced the fear, felt really uncomfortable all week because she associates the foods with being bad.
Yeah.
Still progressed at the end of the week.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh, right, okay, well, they're not bad then.
So they're not bad then.
No.
Just got to learn how to actually work them in. I think as well as protecting relationship with foods, it offers a nice, literally like just a psychological break from the torture that is calorie restriction.
Yeah. Yeah. If you've dieted for any serious period of time, like more than like an actual like long-term diet,
To a serious degree as well, not just like
yeah.
fucking 2,000 calories sort of shit. Like,
If you've lost like 40, 50, 60 pounds, you'll understand that it is a long and torturous process, and having that little break away from it psychologically is. Remember when we done the refeed and you give me jam bagels?
mm-hmm.
Remember how happy I was eating those jam bagels?
Person in the world.
That's another thing that we've spoken about this before, but the appreciation of food as well. Like
yeah.
If that wasn't there, I'd have gone insane.
Yeah.
I was ridiculously happy to be sitting down and eating jam bagels. I stopped my whole day. I turned the telly off, I turned the music off, I shut my laptop down, and I just sat and looked at these 2 jam bagels and was like, I'm going to make sure I enjoy every single mouthful of this. And I was so present.
Going into a meditative state.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, this bodybuilding shit, innit?
Yeah. And that's what I love about our job, is that we get to make it as unfucked up as possible.
Yeah.
Because it is, and when done badly, it will fuck you up. And that's why I think we've both come across people who are, whether they realise it or not, are a bit fucked from doing things in a less than ideal way.
Yeah.
I done a post about it the other week. Looking a certain way, how you look and how you feel are not, like, they're not the same thing, and they're not always tied together. So you might look at someone on Instagram, you might look at someone on social media and think, wow, they look amazing. If they've not approached that in the right way, they probably don't feel it. Even when I dieted down, I felt like shit that day before the photo shoot. Like, but that wasn't to make me feel better. That was to get in that condition for a photo shoot. But we done, and that was us approaching it in the right way. Like we put
the last few weeks were grim. Like
the last few weeks were grim, but we didn't do anything stupid.
Yeah.
Calories weren't stupidly low. Cardio wasn't ridiculously high. We weren't starving me.
Do any cardio, lad? We're gonna have this argument forever.
So, like, it wasn't a grim, like, stupid way of doing it.
Yeah.
I still felt like shite sitting in the car after that last walk to get my steps in, knowing that tomorrow was the photo shoot. So if that's how I feel there, you can imagine how someone feels who's just dieted on the same 6-day meal plan for 18 weeks with no diet break.
Yeah, just the same. This is why meal plans, when some people give meal plans and it's just like, there's your meal plan, off you go, the 1,200 calories, just go and do it. It's like, the person's never going to succeed. There needs to be actual coaching involved, and especially when you're just eating the same fucking meals day after day after day. It's like, we were speaking as well, weren't we, about, it was on another podcast episode, about how buzzing you get when you're dieting with just like broccoli. If you've got a bit of salt and pepper, you just fucking nail it onto the broccoli. It's like you fucking day has just been made.
If you put something new in, something random that you haven't put in,
Yeah.
like I am a little bit robotic in the like that's why I wanted someone else to coach me. That's why I got you to coach me, so that I just took all of the thinking out of it. And
Yeah.
we used meal plan for it, didn't we?
Yeah.
We used it. Like if I got bored of something, we just swapped it out and we put something else in. But then I might just swap the veg. Like I might have been using broccoli for like 2 weeks, and then I swapped it for like carrots, and I was like, "Oh, carrots are so good. Carrots taste so nice."
Hey, side note, have you seen Dr. Mike Israel, his Instagram recently?
The chocolate spread.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looks fit, that doesn't it?
looks that is it. I couldn't obviously he's got like an American accent, so he says words wrong. Um, is he saying casein protein?
Yeah,
Powder?
yeah, yeah.
Take that out of a mortar.
Yeah.
That looks really nice considering it's just protein powder.
I kept seeing his posts. So basically, for anyone who doesn't know who he is, he's some I think he's got a PhD in like muscle physiology or some shit.
Yeah,
Something to and yeah. Um
sports
he,
performance and physiology, I think it is, isn't it?
yeah, I've got no idea. But he keeps posting on his Instagram the food that he's eating. He's dieting at the minute. Big bowl of carrots, some bread, and this brown paste in a bowl. And everyone's like, what the fuck is this? It's casein protein with chocolate. And then he spreads it on his toast like Nutella, and then just eats a bowl of carrots. And it's like when you're dieting, you find the weirdest combinations of foods that you love.
Yeah.
I've told you about my iceberg lettuce and cottage cheese situation.
Yeah.
Like that was just unreal. Salt and a bit of hot sauce, some garlic salt. It was fucking unreal. And I used to just nail it at night.
Remember we were in the gym filming all exercise demos and we both had a chicken salad. It was literally all mine was at that point was chicken breast and lettuce.
Yeah.
There was probably about 500 grams of lettuce and about 150 grams of chicken. And I just put salt and pepper and hot sauce on it. And I think that was the first meal of the day, potentially, or the second one. But we were like quite late in the day.
Yeah.
Because I was fasting that day. I just put like no particular reason, just to save calories. I just pushed the food back as far as I could in the day. And it was that was as close to taste that it tasted nearly as nice as the jam bagels. Like I was as happy eating that as I was eating the jam bagels like 2-3 weeks later.
Fucking boss.
There's no way I'd come home now at the end of the day and bang just chicken and lettuce in a bowl and be made up of it.
Not a chance. Not a chance. We're getting so off topic here.
So off topic. So we've covered pretty much everything. So let's bullet point what we've gone over.
Yeah. Okay. So
what's a diet break?
What?
What's a diet break?
Where you have a break in your diet. No.
Box ticked.
Why would you do a diet break? Because you've hit a plateau, you're not burning as many calories as you once were, and therefore you are gonna stop losing fat. So you put a diet break in proactively to prevent the loss of muscle mass, bone mass, organ mass, to prevent the reduction in fidgeting, to prevent the reduction in your prevent the reduction in your BMR, so that you can continue losing fat at a sustainable rate long term, as well as being able to train hard because you're giving yourself more food every now and then. So like in that study, refeeding every week will allow them to train harder, retain more muscle tissue, and obviously just continue to progress your physique much faster.
Psychologically, you're going to feel better. You're going to be able to sustain it for longer without going insane. You're going to maintain a better, healthier relationship with food. You're less at risk of damaging your relationship with food. And it gives you more freedom in the foods that you can consume, especially later on in a dieting phase, like deeper into a calorie deficit. So basically, have a diet break.
Yeah, do diet breaks. They're fucking sick.
the boss.
And it's not just like science saying it and us just going, oh yeah, reading the science and talking about how good it is. Like, it genuinely works. Like, all the clients that I've implemented it with are progressing ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
But not always necessary. But when it is, implement it.
I don't know. The research suggests that it should always be necessary. You could argue that you're always going to have a better physique.
You could argue that every individual is different. So what if you have a person who, if you give a bit of leeway on the weekend, is just going to go and annihilate a Domino's and fuck themselves up?
This is very true. Some people,
the art of coaching, you need to read the individual.
Yeah. This is where, when we say don't restrict yourself from foods, there are probably foods that you will have to avoid. Certain individuals will have hyperpalatable foods. If you are obese, if you are overweight, you have struggle. You have struggle.
You have struggle. Wow, it's getting late, man. We're both my words up.
Oh, let's try that again. If you are obese, there are going to be foods that you can't control yourself around, and they may need to be removed from the picture entirely.
Yeah.
So you're in a better state physically.
Yeah.
And you've got a better understanding of food mentally before they can be reintroduced.
Yeah, because if it is going to work, it's like that study that they've restricted someone by 35% of their maintenance. Like, that's fucking a lot.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people might not be able to handle that. So it might just be better to just achieve a 10% deficit consistently. So you've always got to fucking not just take information as gospel. Just because we've said it, you might not need it, but it might be fantastic for you.
Try it. Might be the best thing you ever do. Might be the worst thing you ever do.
Might change your fucking life. You might become a bodybuilder in 2 years because of listening to this podcast. Yeah. So,
if you do and you get sponsored, we want royalties.
I want 10%, lad.
Right, that's us. We've done another one.
We've done another one. I don't think that was too long, that either.
No, we just about bumbled through it at 9 o'clock at night.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you're still here, as always, you know where to find us at coach.kamada on Instagram, www.coachkamada.com. Where can they find you, Jack?
Jack at Silverjacks. And I'll tell you my website on the next one because Graphit are just finishing off my new website for me, so I haven't got a web address for it yet.
Cheers. Woo. If you want us to cover anything else in future episodes, drop us a message on Instagram and we'll get to it. Thank you, everyone, for listening again. Speak to you soon.